Jurisdiction of the U.S. Supreme Court. Introduction. The United States Supreme Court is one of the most important organs of government. The Constitution ordains it. Organization of the Supreme Court. The American Constitution does not fix the number of judges of the Supreme Court. At first, it consisted of 1 Chief Justice and 5 Associate Justices, but since 1869, it has consisted of 1 Chief Justice and 8 Associate Justices, that is, 9. Appointment of judges. The judges of the Supreme Court and other federal courts are appointed by the President with the approval of the Senate. Judges of the Supreme Court have been known politically to be Democratic or Republican. Their party ideology has also influenced their judgments. But they have never had active party affiliation after their appointment to the court. How cases may come before the Supreme Court. Cases may be brought before the Supreme Court in either of 2 ways: by original suit or by appeal. The Constitution confers on the court only original jurisdiction, and appellate jurisdiction has been conferred by acts of Congress. Jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. The judicial power of the court extends to all the cases in law and equity arising under the U.S. Constitution, the laws of the United States, and treaties made under their authority. The jurisdiction also extends to all cases affecting ambassadors or other public ministers and consuls, admiralty, and maritime jurisdiction. A. Original jurisdiction. In the original Supreme Court jurisdiction, the authority to hear cases in the first instance is limited by the Constitution to cases involving ambassadors and other diplomatic agents and cases to which the Union and a state or states are parties. The Supreme Court has original jurisdiction in such cases where the validity of any national or state law is questioned. B. Appellate jurisdiction. The appellate jurisdiction of the Supreme Court is by far the largest part of its function. This is made up of cases appealed from the lower federal courts and from the state courts. The appellate jurisdiction of the Supreme Court has been determined by the acts of Congress. Role of the U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court has played a vital role in the evolution and development of the American political system. A. Through its power of judicial review, it has protected the Constitution from being violated and checked the monarchical ambitions of the President and the recklessness of the Congress. B. Through its power to issue writs, it has safeguarded the rights of the people from all sorts of encroachments. C. Through its interpretation, it has updated the U.S. Constitution to meet the changing needs of the times. Powers of the Supreme Court. Article 3 of the Constitution provides, judicial power of the United States shall be vested in 1 Supreme Court. The area of court power includes judicial review. The most effective power in the hands of the Supreme Court is judicial review. The American Constitution did not expressly give the power of judicial review to the Supreme Court. It acquired it in the case of Marbury v. Madison. The Supreme Court has often used its power of judicial review and declared many laws passed by Congress unconstitutional, hence null and void. Due to this, the Supreme Court is called the superlegislature. Power of statutory interpretation. The Supreme Court of the USA has the power to interpret the statutes or laws passed by Congress. In many cases, Congress passes the law in an ambiguous manner, leaving the responsibility of interpretation to the courts or executive. This is done because of political pressure, as sometimes Congress has to pass a law in which it can maintain the diverse interests of the people and pressure groups. Boundary maintenance. Another power of the Supreme Court is to maintain boundaries among different institutions. The Supreme Court settles issues involving activities on the perimeter of the legitimate and accepted the domain of particular institutions, as might occur in the relationship between the President and Congress or between national government and state governments.